I want to know if he's real just for the heck of it. And then second question, is his news that he's bringing correct? I mean, he could just be someone part of the movie or theater, right? So is he real? Is he a real rabbi? Is he who he says he is? Like he's presenting as a rabbi. Okay, so he looks like a good military. So no, he's not a real rabbi. He's been placed. Okay, he's not a real rabbi. So they just used that guy. Yeah, no, he's not. He's read in with the Alliance and the White Hat military. He could even be a part of the White Hat military. So maybe they're using a mask for him to look the age he looks and or just to look how he looks. Okay, but no, he's not real. That's interesting. Now, what he's saying, this is more important even. So right away that tells me, yeah, you know, the whole October 7th thing smelt to high heaven to me. I didn't believe one word of it. Nothing. I don't believe people were kidnapped. I think the whole thing was inside and it was part of the theater. But anyway, I get really unpopular saying stuff like that, but I'm sorry. The cards have been saying that, and that just proved I was right about part of it anyway. Okay, let's have a look at, is he telling the truth? So what he actually says there, is that the way the White Hats want to bring out the truth? Because they disclose things in lots of ways. So we got a major arcana. We've got the 10. We've got the 8. I think some of what he said was true. Okay, some of what he said was, we still got some deep fake theater going on. So some of what he said was true. He's definitely with the White Hat Alliance, and they're spinning it. More will come out later, and we'll get more of the truth later. So he's starting to bring out the truth. And I think the first thing we got to know is the whole thing was created to get our attention to who's your real enemy, who's really doing what, how do these people do what they do? Okay, and then blame it on others. This was a perfect example of what they call a false flag. Also, like we can be so easily fooled and sucked into loosh. Okay, so yikes. Yeah. So anyway, this feels like some of what he said was true, but there's still a lot of untruths in what he said. Oh my goodness. Now that's when Jean-Claude would come in really handy, because then we'd go on and he'd find different questions for me to ask. By the way, the ostrich thing, I'm going to look at that with Jean-Claude because I do want to get really thorough on it. Yeah, lots of people freaking out. Like, remember I said, don't get sucked into the loosh. I'll just leave it there. Okay. Yeah. Anything that's triggering you as much as that story does, you got to suspect it these days, you guys. You got to suspect it. Okay. But I'll just leave it at that. We'll see what the cards say. We'll look again at it. Okay. But I'm not going to do it I'm going to do it later today. Jean-Claude and I are going to do it on the world news, and then we're going to take that segment out and make it public. And then I'll put it on the website tomorrow. Okay. Now let's ask, will there be a public arrest of prominent politicians or world-known people in the next week, or people known all over the world? Like, they could be actors, they could be religious figures. We don't care. We just want someone really prominent in the, in the cabal, etc., in the Khazarian mafia, arrested in front of our eyes, like Epstein. Not him himself. I think they've used him and he's already been rounded up. And of course, now they're pretending he's dead. But anyway, somebody from that whole Epstein situation, we need somebody arrested who we know for sure has done these horrific deeds and crimes against humans. We need this to happen. Is something like that going to happen this week? And we're talking between today and next Monday. Let's say that. That's a week. Being specific with times is really a good idea with cards. Okay, yeah. Okay, so we've got the death card there. Interesting. And a held up card. So putting ourselves in a difficult position. So somebody may die again. And I got this before when I did the week by week, and I was like, somebody's going to die or appear to die who's a really prominent figure in the dark cult. And it turned out it was probably Kissinger. That was probably the Kissinger death, right? Because Kissinger was rounded up years ago. That's what I got. And yeah, so according to my cards, he was gone a long time ago. So this is saying the same thing. It doesn't look like a per se arrest, although wouldn't that be so exciting? But in the next week, somebody else will appear to die, it looks like, and it'll be really a playing out of a death. Okay, and they would have been rounded up. So I don't know if they're actually dead already, but it will be, a big psychological thing that's not based in actual fact. Okay, does that make sense? And what is actual fact, right? What is actual fact nowadays? Like, it's so hard to understand how things are. Everything looks like it's a big old psyop. Sorry about that. So my phone was on. Here, I'm going to just shut it off. Hopefully that'll make that not happen anymore. And then what it does is it messes up the card view. Okay, that looks good. Yeah, so somebody looks like they're gonna pull a Kissinger story. Okay, so somebody we know in this community is long gone, will appear to die or be taken out, or maybe just die of natural causes like they did with Kissinger. Okay, but in fact, that we'll know that they'd already been rounded up. So there's that. Okay, so but it didn't look like public arrest in the next week. Okay, so for the fourth question, this is a good one, and I got it just before I came on here, so we're kind of scrambling with this one, but I think Coco's got it all covered in the background there. The BBC, there's a big BBC scandal, of course, with the whole Trump lawsuit. So Trump's threatening to sue the BBC for $1 billion, over his panorama edit, they call it. Okay, so they edited a speech he said on January 6th. So I guess they're really gearing up to show us, and they've been doing it for some time, that January 6th, and I'll go even further to say that it was a huge psyop, and it was actually completely done head to toe by the White Hat Alliance. Okay, none of January 6th was done by the Dems. Okay, but they're still playing out all of these angles to it, and of course certainly not admitting that they did it themselves. Okay, because they're trying to show you what these Dems would do. Okay, because all the people they had involved, a lot of them had already been rounded up or were even rounded up that day. So the whole thing was to show you how the Dems blame everything on Trump and try to make him look bad, try to make the MAGA look bad. Okay, so I'm simplifying, but that's the short of it. Okay, so let's have a listen to the speech that Trump said, just a little blurb so you can get an idea of when they mess with your speech and make it like they cut parts out and only play parts. Okay, and it makes it look a certain way. So it slanted his speech on January 6th to make him look violent. Let's have a listen.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
Yeah, like right there. Okay, so they took this little part over here and added it right to the end of a sentence and made it look like he said, we're going to fight like hell, basically sounding like the insurrection that they blamed they blamed on the Trump people. Okay. And of course, we know that the whole thing was fake, right? From head to toe. You guys must know that by now. Every single part of that, every angle of that was theater. They've even got shots of people entering the building with green screens behind it. Like they probably filmed that months or weeks before the actual thing itself. Like the whole thing was a psyop from start to finish. Of course, they're not ready to admit that yet. They'd have to already have the EBS basically to admit that kind of stuff. But they're definitely proving that certainly it wasn't the Trump people. Okay, but it goes way deeper than that. The whole thing was a psyop right from head to toe. But they also show you how different medias will take stuff and spin it. And so they're using that January 6th to spin things. And they let all of these people, they basically catfished all of these stations into spinning it certain ways, in particular the BBC. And what I want to know is that going to take the BBC down? And if you don't know what the BBC are all about, let's have a look at this statue that sits in front of the BBC that was carved by a known pedophile. Okay, somebody that was a known pedophile. Look into the guy that carved this. Okay, and look what's happening when you look close. Why do they have to have a naked boy like butted up, and I mean that literally, against this guy's groin area? Like why does it look like that guy's a pedophile doing stuff to this little boy? Why do we need a pedophile to carve a carving in front of a building? Okay, and they've even protected it. Like somebody tried to take this thing down, and it all came out who really carved it. And really, when you look closely at it, and there's so many carvings like this all over the world, okay, where it's in your face pedophilia or something horrific. Okay, and the BBC defended this. This is recently, okay, and they fixed it. You know, they cleaned it up. Okay, instead of taking it down, even though there's been huge outcry to get this thing off the BBC building. It's disgusting. Okay, they're disgusting people. Okay, this is the group that hid Jimmy Savile right in their ranks. Like they made him really famous. Okay, like these guys are absolute scumbags. So apparently there was a fellow that stepped down. So the general director steps down, Tim Davey, okay, over this whole Trump lawsuit thing. Okay, so what we're wondering is this all designed, okay, the lawsuit and everything, designed to, like, did they just basically they catfish these guys? They gave them enough rope to hang themselves, or they let these guys show themselves their true colors, okay, by creating the whole insurrection faked a January 6th thing in the first place, and then all the spins that came out of that and making everybody, do the things they do. Okay, like letting them do the things they do. They caught a lot of people in that. That was a huge trap for so many. But the BBC in particular here is in the spotlight. So is this going to bring down the BBC? We got a bit of a lag here. Huh. No, BBC's already, I think the BBC's, I think a lot of the BBC's already been dismantled, you guys. I think even the fact that they fixed the statue and didn't acknowledge that they got a pedophile statue right out in front of the BBC, and a pedophile carved the statue, and they paid the pedophile to carve the statue. Okay. And then even though when they found out, they probably knew all along anyway, well, when it became public knowledge that thing was carved by, like even then, I feel like it was probably already being operated by like White Hat Alliance. So I feel like that guy stepping down, all of this is part of the theater. That's what it looks like. And they're already something dismantled. Okay, so all of the stuff they do, I feel like, is to make everybody understand when they find out what happened already to the BBC, they're not going to be mad about it, okay? And they've done a really great job of making the BBC look really bad, by the way. So I think they were actually taken out a long time ago. So it's hard to, when you get questions like that in the cards, because they're like, oh no, they're dismantled, taken down, but it doesn't look like that to us. Okay, they're still doing stuff like this. So this whole thing is part of the theater, including the lawsuit. But in the public eye, it may take down the BBC, but the cards are saying the BBC's already taken down. Okay, it's certainly going to have people not trusting them. So this is the general population, and they're already halfway there. You talk to a lot of people in Europe, and a lot of them are really, really angry with the BBC. Okay, so yeah, wow. I don't think it all the way takes them down, though, even in the fake sense or the public eye sense, or even in the movie sense. Okay, I think there's more to come, even, believe it or not. More to come for that BBC, more outings for those guys. Okay, let's see what we got here. Let's look at Carney. Okay, let's end on Carney, because we thought this guy was going to be gone a long time ago, and we still got this guy kicking around in Canada. It's just absolutely disheartening and horrifying. Let's have a look at this guy and see. Okay, he put out finally his budget, and it was like double, like, let's say, like it was way worse than Trudeau, and Trudeau's was, mind-bogglingly bad. Okay, and then this guy and all the stuff he's done since, and oh my goodness, I just can't believe this guy's still walking around. But of course, if you know it's all theater, that's honestly, at this point, the only thing that makes sense, frankly, is that it can't be real, because in any kind of real sense, nobody would, like, he couldn't be walking around still. I mean, it just makes no sense. Okay, let's have a look. How do we get rid of this guy? Like in the public, because we know he's just playing. You know what I mean? He is a player on the stage here, guys. He is part of the theater of politics. And I think this guy, and I've long got that Trump owns this guy. Yep, Trump owns him. Okay, they got a few more things. So we're getting close, though, to getting rid of Carney here, but they got a few more things to come out about him that'll really seal his fate. Okay, and here with that King of Wands, I feel like all of this leads to Trump giving us a way out somehow. He's going to give Canada a way out, is what it looks like. He's going to give Canada, because he's like it'll become clearer and clearer that Canada really isn't a country anyway. If you've been following what's been happening in British Columbia with the Indigenous title. Okay, British Columbia is the only province that really didn't settle any of their treaties, even though a lot of the treaties across the rest of Canada were badly settled. Okay. Certainly not in the favor of the Indigenous people, although some people would disagree with me on that, but I would say most of us would agree. And they didn't always do them or keep up their end of the bargain, the government, I mean. Okay. And in some cases, even the Indigenous groups didn't always. Okay. But most cases, it was the government who weren't keeping their end. Okay, but still, at least they had signed treaties. So you got to look up what that means if you're not from Canada and you don't understand, or North America, and you don't understand treaties. Okay, but in British Columbia, the treaties weren't settled. Okay, like the band my people are from, or my dad's people are from, they don't have a signed treaty because nothing got finalized. Okay, things didn't get finalized, but they got verbal agreements, which of course were really easy to for the government not to honor, and they haven't honored about 95% of them, they say, in British Columbia. So it made it so, even though those guys fought, that Cowichan tribe fought 40 years, by the way, and spent thousands and millions of dollars to finally get that piece of land that they claim. Okay. And, all of this looks really suspiciously like a land grab by the government, because the government still governs their pretend hierarchy in government are all bought and paid for by Government of Canada. So, you know what I mean? And a lot of their chiefs, and not all of them, some chiefs are good, but a lot of their hierarchy are also like trying to be elites and or sold out as well. So it's not like they're going to do any favors to their own people. So I'm just saying, I'm just being honest, okay? Because I know, really, I'm up close and personal with lots of Indigenous groups, and I see what they do. So they have as many problems as any other governing, governance around the world. Anyway, but what was I getting there? Okay, like I guess what I was saying was all of that already puts Canada on really shaky ground, and particular British Columbia, which really tells me that because it was never properly signed, all of these things, and even that acknowledgement that they do all the time, like you're on unceded land, whatever, I think that was just prepping us up to understand that Canada, just like the movie Canada's an Illusion, just like that video, okay, Canada the Illusion, it's really true. None of it was properly done. None of it was legal, and we're not legally a country. And I feel like Trump's the one that's going to bring that home to us, okay, and then make us some kind of offer to be involved in some groupings of countries that maybe are in the same boat we are. I feel like that's where we're headed there. So that's how I'll end it today. I got to run off to a headstone placement thing where my dear friend Bonnie, the redhead, you guys remember? My friend Bonnie, who passed away, I guess it would have been 2 years ago now, I think, or is it 3? Oh, God, could be 3. This could be the 3rd year. Anyway, it's her birthday, and they're gonna have a nice gathering in her honor. Yeah, it's 2.5 years, I think. Yeah, likely of, that thing they were doing to everybody. Very likely. That's how she died of a massive heart attack at 54, I believe she was. So yeah, just heart-wrenching and horrifying that we lost so many people, and not too long after, 2nd and 3rd jabs. But anyway, yeah, sending everybody ravens, and love you guys. Thanks for all those questions. And if you are watching this on anything but, start with, we're going to go to New York City and look at the new mayor. Now, I want to remind you guys that I talked about this in October 22nd. So I took a screenshot of this. Look down, will Mandani get elected New York mayor? Okay, I talked about this, and I've got nonstop questions here in the comments, okay, about it, okay? Freaking out he got elected. Also, I even got some emails where people were just freaking out, and it's like, hello, we talked about this, guys. So at 8:59, 8 minutes and 59 timestamp, go back and listen to that, okay? Because, yeah, I told you he was going to get elected, okay? And of course he did. And I also said that he was a pawn. He is going to take down the idea of socialism, because it's a big thing with the youth, especially in the US, Canada, North America, the world, that they actually think, I think it's Gen X that's really big on this, or maybe it's, I don't know, a generation after Gen X, maybe. Anyway, correct me in the comments who you think's doing this, but it's all those people that are like, freaking out about Palestine, wearing those Palestinian outfits, even pro-Hamas, even though they're like murderers, like, anyway, those guys, people in university, okay, or university professors, they're the ones who would have voted for this guy probably in New York. I mean, I'm assuming that, okay? Now have a look at some of the memes that have come out right away as soon as he got in. We'll look at this one, for instance. There's his aunt in full hijab, okay? Is that what it's called? Hijab? I think it is. And then there's the voters, okay? So a whole bunch of Pride people that go to Pride Week or Pride parades, trans community, the gay community, all these people voted for this guy who's like a militant Muslim / socialist. Okay. Right? Like, couldn't be more, I mean, unfortunate or horrendous, okay, but also hilarious. It's hilarious, you guys, because it's so obvious these guys are not going to get what they want out of this guy. In fact, let's have a look at a post that was put up shortly after by CNN. Let's have a look at this. Mandani's rage-filled victory speech stuns even CNN's Van Jones, who's the biggest woke idiot ever there was. Okay, so let's have a listen to this. Let's hear what Van Jones has to say about this.
I think he missed an opportunity. I think the Mamdani that we saw on the campaign trail, who was a lot more calm, who was a lot warmer, who was a lot more embracing, was not present in that speech. And I think that Mamdani is the one you need to hear from tonight. There are a lot of people trying to figure out, can I get on this train with him or not? Is he going to include me? Is he going to be more of a class warrior, even in office? I think he missed a chance tonight to open up and bring more people into the tent. I think his tone was sharp. I think he was using the microphone in a way that he was almost yelling. And that's not the Mamdani that we've seen on TikTok and the great interviews and stuff like that. So I felt like there's a little bit of a character switch here where the warm, open, embracing guy that's close to working people was not on stage tonight. And there was some other voice on stage. That said, he's very young.
Okay, we'll stop it there. Seriously, do you think, Van? Do you think? Okay, so that says everything. Okay, so they, by the way, White Hat Alliance is at the very top levels of CNN. We found that out years ago. Jean-Claude and I, we looked at that for years. And it was already happening like 2 years ago that CNN got taken over. I can't remember exactly the dates or the time frame, but it was a couple of years ago. And we saw that they would still continue to do the agenda of the deep state and the bidding of, and but they'd sort of walk of shame, and that there'd be eventual or little slips of real information, and then it would get more and more. And that's exactly what's been going on for a really long time with CNN. Okay, they're using them to either walk of shame, really show you in your face how bad, how bad these news agencies are, okay, and how they're just used by the deep state government. So they're just showing you that. So for him to actually say that, okay, he's being puppeted by the White Hat Alliance. And that's exactly what I got when I got this guy would win the race. So you got to go back, watch that, what I say there, because it's still true. Okay. And it did happen. All right. Now let's look at these key governor races that went on. So Dems won 2 or 3, maybe 4 of those that were really surprising to people. But it doesn't seem like the Trump team surprised at all. And it also seems like the Trump team, is going to use these guys. But let's make sure that that's actually the case, because I'm sure there's a lot of Americans watching who are freaking out, okay, because the Dems are creeping in here and there. But I feel like, similar to what's happening in New York, they're going to use New York. They've always used New York as ground zero. Okay, they've been using New York as ground zero to show you, how this war is going and what's really going on. And they're doing it again. Okay, so they're gonna get this guy to totally flip, okay, and he'll totally show his true colors, and everyone will be just, oh my goodness, all the gay woke people, and I have nothing against gay people, by the way, but when they get super woke about it, so usually it's not even the gay communities, they're actually really offended by wokeism. Okay, a lot of gay people come out against wokeism. Okay, so I'm not really talking about, but this guy, he's not going to be tolerant about even gay people. He's going to be super intolerant about everything. Okay, you can tell he's probably a militant, and that's how they're going to flip him. Okay. And then you're going to be like, oh my goodness. Right. Yeah. Anyway, be prepared because he's going to do shocking things is what I figure. And of course, that'll, take him down, of course. And Trump even said in one of his interviews, he said that if this guy doesn't let ICE do their job, basically, I think it was in this clip, but we don't have time to play all the clips, so we won't play this one. But I think it's in this one. But anyway, I shared a clip where he says, we'll arrest him. No problem. You know what I mean? He doesn't look a bit concerned. Okay, so that tells you they knew he was getting in because they probably rigged the whole election to get all of their puppets in there. Okay, right? And that might go for the Dem wins, the governor wins. Let's have a look. So the Dems that got in the various states that's freaking everybody out. Let's have a look. Okay, it was a tough night last night. Hey, tough day and night. Okay, so yeah, interesting. Some of the things won't stick, just for starters. So they might have got in and then something happens and they didn't get in. So there's that. With this says there could be some flips already coming where they miscounted or something happened or. Yeah, so that's interesting with that card. It's a little tricky, right? And then things will get really bad right away, okay? Really bad. So we got surrender to. So we have to surrender to. This is how they're going to bring truth. So yeah, this is also white hat bringing truth. They're going to walk of shame these guys. They're going to make these guys look really, really bad. This is not going to be, it's not exactly what it's looking like, guys. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Just wait. Okay. I'm thinking that in November and December, a lot of these guys are going to be totally outed as exactly who they are and could even be replaced even or the whole thing could get, well, what I'm hoping for, and that's maybe what that's talking about, is an event that comes and sweeps these guys away. Okay, so let's see, what do we got here? And maybe this next question I have might show us an event here. Trump's Truth Social. So on Trump's Truth Social, and I think it was on the 4th, so yesterday. Was it? Yeah. No, November 5th. Oh, no, I think it was retweeted on November 5th. So it was 11/4/25. Okay. So he posts this, and so it begins. Okay, so what begins? In New York, it looks like it begins that they really out, because there's so many people that think of Oregon. Think of Oregon, the state of Oregon. Okay, think about how so many people think that socialism's the way to go in Oregon. Like it's all taken over. They got like no cops doing any work over there. Like it feels like, yeah, all the radicals. I don't know who's running the place, but it's certainly, yeah. Anyway, it's horrifying what's going on over there. Every time I see posts from there, I just can't even believe it. Like young people think it's so hip and cool. They've shut down big parts of the city. It's like an anarchist's heaven there. Okay. So maybe these New Yorkers think they're going to create that as well and just own the city when in fact they're going to get totally repressed. Okay. Because they just voted in a Muslim who looks radical. Okay. It's like, are they stupid? He'll be, bringing in all kinds of oppression. It's going to be fascinating. Anyway, so you got to show these people. You have to show them what's really going on. So when Trump tweeted, or I guess he just posted this because Truth Social doesn't tweet it, just posts. So it begins. What begins? What's he referring to there? Some people think that's a fake post. I feel like it's real. If it's fake, it'll come up here. Yeah, there's some argument about it. Okay, so justice. I'm thinking it's real with a major arcana, describing it. Also, that's a just card. Okay, there's a flip. Okay, this is what we're looking for, guys. And I got this before. Something's going to flip this. We're right at the flip point. We need a flip. We need an event or some kind of a flip so people can really, move past some of these disasters that just happened and get on a better track, because it looks like what happened last night politically in the US, like things took 10 steps backwards. But I get no, they didn't actually. This is just making way for a big flip. And that's what he's talking about here. I feel like people are going to really get understanding, what is actually going on behind the curtain. We already do. We already know. Okay, but I'm talking about the regular folk. This card line here is talking about what regular folks see. Okay, so they're going to see that this is all this hardship was necessary to become enlightened. Okay, so the hard way, they're going to become enlightened, and this is how they're doing it. They're doing it with Ground Zero in New York. They'll probably make that look really bad for a few weeks for sure. Okay, maybe even from now till the end of the year. They're going to make it look really bad. They're going to make these places look really bad. Then it looks like in a big event here. So some kind of a big shift in event. Something that's already been nodded to, because it's already been put into motion. Wheel of Fortune already put something in motion. Okay. And then it actually, so the dominoes are already started to fall, and then it creates an event here. Okay, and this card's interesting because it says a lot has already been put in place for this event. So I'm going to pull two more to see if I can get a timing on a flip event, which is exactly what is desperately needed here, guys. We desperately need it. Okay, so we've got the King of Wands, and okay, so it looks like we're going to get told exactly. We're going to get, so Trump's going to tweet something or post something else that literally gives us a big heads up on it. Magician. King of Pentacles, December. I go with December on that. And the Magician, I'd say it's up in the air exactly when, but it's sometime between now and December. I feel like that's a work in progress. And this card's a little wishy-washy time-wise. It's like following some other things. So some other things have to go first, and then this happens. And it does feel like it's likely going to be created by the White Hat Alliance, in other words, part of the theater. Okay, but I feel like it'll feel real. So it's going to feel like this, but it in fact is a psyop of some kind. Yeah, and I did get that before, or at least part of it's going to be a psyop. They might riff off something real and then add their own flair to it. Okay, so let's see what else we got. Will the movie end this year? Okay, and you guys know what we mean by the movie, right? So we're talking about how they're playing things out. So what I've been getting for months and months, even years, is that a lot of the things we think are happening, like for instance, Cheney dying at 84. Okay, he was rounded up and very likely processed years ago. Maybe even in 2017 or 2016, years ago. Okay, he hasn't been around for years, so they didn't, the White House / the White Hats Alliance. I believe that's who's running the White House right now. The White House didn't even make any real formal comment about Cheney's death. Does that even make sense to you guys? So that tells you that we're right about this stuff. Okay, that guy was absolutely demonic, and he doesn't even deserve any kind of mention, right? Oh boy, when he supposedly dies. And it's because he didn't die. yesterday or the day before, whenever they said he died. He didn't. He was taken out a long time ago. Okay, so there's a big clue right there. But anyway, let's have a look at when will the movie end. And I'm going to do a timeline on this one. So one of those 7-card pulls. Past. These feel like an event that really outs the government or your governments or the world governments, maybe a world government organization or the governments across the world, and that they're all involved in, or have been at least in the past, in a world domination, right? Like, yeah, all the stuff we've discovered. Past, present, near future. Here's the... I think it goes past I feel like some of the movie will linger. I do. I feel like some of the movie's going to linger. I'd even say 2 months into next year. I'd go with February, maybe by the end of February, we could be done the movie, but I don't think it ends by Christmas. Yeah. Or January 1st, which is the fake end of the year. The deep state end of the year. Yeah, I don't think it does. I feel like it goes into because both these cards say, yeah, there's more timing here. So I'm going to say no, it doesn't end by the end of the year, but I don't see that it goes too much past spring. Yeah, they're probably going to play out different sort of areas probably still need to be played out. But there's some kind of an event that really outs who your government really is. And this is to the general population. And there's a lot of truth by the end of the year, but there's still lingering things that need more time to come out. So they're going to still have to keep playing the movie. And it says it's for safety purposes. They're keeping everybody safe. Both these cards are about safety. Okay, and it's likely not us they're trying to keep safe. It's likely regular folks. And don't forget that... Jean-Claude and I, we talked about this. There could be booby-trapped things in place that were put in place a long time ago by the deep state that they threaten, like dirty bombs and stuff like that. We used to talk about that like a couple of years ago, Jean-Claude and I. We'd always get, okay, they can't just tell you because there's these threats put in place. I feel like they booby-trapped the world somehow. And some of those booby traps may not actually exist, but deep state dark cult has placed them and threatens with them. And just to keep populations safe, the White Hat Alliance, when they believe there could be a viable threat, backs off on things. Okay, so it's stretched things out. Okay, and that we used to get that years ago, but I think that's still in play. And that's why we keep getting those safety cards that come up that hold things up, right, for people's safety. And it is frustrating. People get really frustrated when they hear that. Okay, let's look at the UK train stabbings. So in the UK, I think it was a week and a half ago, there was a big event on a train where apparently 10 people ended up in the hospital with life-threatening injuries, or some of them had life-threatening injuries, okay, due to stabbing. And it was one person doing the stabbing, apparently. Okay, so let's have a look at the person asking this question wants to know, was that a real thing or was that a psyop? Because I guess there's some discrepancies in the reporting, etc., like we've seen all over the world with these things. Okay, let's have a look. The UK train stabbings. Can you guys hear that? The wind is just howling over here. It's been really stormy. Winters are really stormy on Haida Gwaii. Okay, so we've got the Six of Swords, and none of these look like a yes to me. This doesn't look like a yes to me. This is about clarity and information coming out. Okay, so they were trying to get something. I feel like it was a psyop. I feel like this was a psyop, and a lot of people were in on it. Okay, so maybe the train station, people that showed up for it. Remember when the George Floyd psyop happened? Some cops showed up, but they weren't wearing the usual uniforms of the area. All of this later got discussed, okay, by people who are paying attention. Really take a look around the reporting of it. You might notice some weird discrepancies, okay, in the reporting. And yeah, I feel like we've got another George Floyd thing, maybe on a smaller scale. Okay, or well, 10 people in a hospital isn't a small scale, but George Floyd was supposedly in front of our eyes, choked to death with somebody's foot. So yeah. This is slightly downgraded from a George Floyd, but it does look like it's a psyop too, and it is to bring some light to something, and it also light to an unjust system. So it's like surrender to. They need to show the people how unjust the system is there. I mean, if you haven't figured that out and you're in the UK, you can't be that bright. Like, it is absurd. The whole world's seeing the absurdity of what's going on. And we're not that far behind here in Canada. And I'm telling you, even parts of the US look similar. Like all over the world, there's these incredibly outrageous things going on with supposed governments. And yeah, I feel like they're doing it just to really, really, it's like fast track the waking up. Okay, so yeah, that looks like a psyop. Wow, crazy. Okay, now, will there be a worldwide debt forgiveness? So a jubilee. Is that something? So it's called jubilee, and you can look that word up. Is that something that we can expect, say, between now and this time next year? I'm gonna give it a 1 year look, okay? And I'll do a past, present, and near future too. Yeah, a lot of people hurting right now, you bet. Present, near future. Those two waiting cards again. Interesting. Yeah, that's going to depend. That's going to depend. I feel like there's going to be something happening in the next year, and it could even be Christmas time, January even. Okay, so middle of winter kind of timing wise. That feels like it'll alleviate some of this stress around finance, but I don't get it as a worldwide debt forgiveness and or jubilee. And see that too, there could be ways that people are alleviated from debt and or it may be, I don't know, like I'm just going to throw this out there, but these Two of Pentacles there could be another way they save you money, like ending the Fed in the US, and Trump's been talking about that, right? Where they end. So that would mean the end of the way they collect taxes and who collects the taxes. Okay. And we got this quite a while ago, and we've looked at it several times. John Claude and I have looked at it together. I've looked at it individually, but I haven't talked about it for quite a while. So if you're new on here, I've got that there's going to be other ways that things get alleviated around debt. And yeah, money for people. Like money will come in your hands, but it's not necessarily going to come directly into your bank account. Okay. Because I don't know if banks are going to last out the year. Okay. Or even the next, say, 6 months. I don't think, like we've been talking about it for a long time. Banks are being outed as, and bankers. Okay. So there might be a new way to do banking. There might be a new way to handle money, keep your monies, a new money system. Like something's going on that is going to change things and alleviate things, and people will feel like they have a lot more ability to have abundance, but it's not necessarily coming as technically a jubilee or a debt forgiveness. Something like that, some things like that, maybe some forgiveness here with that Two of Pentacles, but other things as well. There's going to be a different way to look at it. So when people say those words, I feel like I can't say yes to it because it's not going to be exactly how they're saying it. Okay, so I'll leave it there, and we'll leave it there today, guys. Thank you so much for watching what kind of low life the UN is, and maybe even to show you who's really in charge, okay? Especially people that have been watching what I do for a long time. You guys remember that I've been saying this bunch is long been out of not circulation, but out of any kind of power. So they basically don't have any power. Okay, so we've got a secret card above. So secret things are happening. So I feel like everything that happened was a calm and was outing something, outing a secret. Okay, outing what these guys do, outing how they cancel culture, people. And then we've got the Fool here. And so I think it was made to look like they were fooling him, but I feel like this was a white hat op. I'm getting the feeling of a white hat op, and it's really just to out the secrets of what these guys do and the lengths they go to, okay, to cancel various different leaders that are telling truth. In this case, it was canceling Trump. I feel like they're outing secrets and just the way the world's been working. Okay, so it's in a way, it's been manipulated, and all of these things are manipulated to make you not. So a lot of people wouldn't have heard Trump speak because his volume was low. And if the teleprompter had kept not working and they hadn't fixed that, okay, he might not have even been able to carry out his speech. You know what I mean? Like they do these things and they cancel culture, anybody talking about the truth. And I feel like this was just an outing to do that. I'm going to do another look here real quick at the UN. Okay, so let's look at this card. Will be the UN, and what kind of teeth do they have? Any teeth left? Are they real even anymore, or are they a facade? And what's going on with the UN? So this is literally how healthy they are what would we call the UN? It's like a company. To me, it's like, well, I guess it's an organization. Okay, so it's an organization. Does the organization have any clout? Like a lot of the things that we hear coming out of there are really scary, right? A lot of the things we hear coming out of those meetings are really scary. Should we fear the UN still as something with clout? Let's have a look. Oh, that one wanted to be on top. So there's the UN. Okay, so 6 and 4 kind of thing, which makes up 10. So 6 and 4, so 60-40. So a lot of it's already been taken apart. I'd say there's about 40% that maybe even are still in the UN, maybe even working for the UN, don't even know that they've been actually taken over. So the UN is going to be created, like I feel like they're actually changing it. It's going to be for the people. So they're actually going to take the sort of the bones of it and turn it into a for the people. But right now, about 40% of people working there might not even realize that they're working for a criminal organization and an organization that at the very top's already been replaced and is they're puppeted from the top, but by the good guys this time, not the bad guys. But of course, they're still showing us what these guys have been up to. So we're still seeing things really, really in your face, as a matter of fact, what they're capable of. Okay, and just how petty they are, really, with the whole escalator stopping and, trying to make a point, I guess. They didn't want Trump there, you know what I'm saying? And then you can't hear him and his teleprompter's not working, all of these things. So it's just disrespectful because he's bringing truth, but of course, it was a white hat op. So sure enough, they're just showing you how disrespectful these people are. And it looks like you got about 40% that actually work for the UN might not realize they've been taken over. So that's interesting. We used to see that when we looked at the mainstream media. We used to see that a lot of them still working there had no clue that their top level had been replaced and puppeted by White Hat Alliance. So that looks like the same story's going on. They're going to change the UN into something that works for the people, but it's going to take time. First, they're going to expose them. They're going to absolutely expose them. And there's some kind of an event, and this card's like can be a bit catastrophic, or gut punchy, let's say. And an event of some kind that could really expose these guys. And we're still waiting for that. So I feel like before it really turns into something really good for the people in the open, there's going to be this event that there could be some shakeup. That maybe there's still unpleasant energies around that we have to go through before we get to the really good stuff. All right. Wow. Yikes. Okay, we'll be watching. We will be watching. So we've got a shungite stack sale. Buy 2 shungite pieces. So you guys know shungite is that really good stone that deflects negativity. That's kind of how I think of it anyway. I got a big chunk of it right here, a raw shungite. But these are actually shungite pendants. Some of them are like that Sending Ravens and the Beyond Mystic ones, as you can see. They're quite large, actually. They're a nice plate, almost as big as this piece here. Yeah. Anyway, you can get 2 pieces. And so if you order 2, you get 1 for free, which is a wicked deal. Yeah, you just got to go to the Ascension Organite website. So Carla's website. And there's so many other good things on that website too. Okay, so now I want to ask, okay, since we've got Cliff High's big, like, emotional tension day coming right up here. So the first week in October, so that'd be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday kind of thing. Okay, starting, I think the first day is Wednesday, October 1st, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong about that. The next Wednesday coming up. That's going to be the 1st of October. And he's saying the first week of October is going to be the highest tension, for months, actually. So we've been kind of looking at this for quite a while, thinking, okay, what could create that tension? Let's see if we can get any clearer on it. The universe doesn't always want to tell us exactly what's coming, especially if it'll be to our growth and advantage to evolve, okay, to not know ahead of time and go through. Sometimes we're meant to go through the experience of something, right? You guys know what I mean by that? You're meant to actually experience something and not know ahead. That's why readers don't always get all the details to things, right? We might get, okay, something's going to happen and it will be emotional, but we don't know exactly what the thing is. That's on purpose because it's to our advantage to go through these things, to literally go right through them. Okay, we can evolve and grow, and it's sometimes I feel like it's a test to see how do we handle things, right? And I really do believe the more kind of we go through like that, the stronger humans we become. And I personally, that's my personal belief, just about how life works. But I mean, not everybody's going to agree with me on that. Some people would like it to be a little easier. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm going to ask is, what do we have in store here in the first week of October? That the universe wants to share with us. Let's have a look. So the first card there, we've got the Chariot, which is like, this can be reckless, fast moving. It can be travel oriented. We've got the Ace of Pentacles in the past. So that's interesting. The Ace of Pentacles. That's a very physical card, and it's about something physically. Okay, so whatever we experience would have already happened. Okay, I've been seeing this for months and months, maybe years now. Okay, so we're going to experience something, and we'll just see it as happening. But whatever it is has already happened. So I don't know if that's us jumping timelines, time traveling. I don't know, but that is a repeated thing in the cards for months and months now, that a lot of the things we see happening have already happened. Okay. And it's like they're just catching us up in real time, or letting maybe the general population in on where we're at in a certain situation. Like a lot of what I get around Palestine happened some time ago, and it's not currently happening. It's already happened, and things have already gone down over there, and we're just hearing about them now, things like that. And there's lots of other examples of it. Okay, you guys, if you've been watching me, you know I've been saying that for a really long time. So whatever it is that's coming feels like it comes really fast when it happens. So there's fast and furious, and it's been building for a long time, but then all of a sudden, right? So it's like boom, and it'll happen while we're focused on something else. Well, that's often the case with these things, right? So here it kind of sneaks up on us, and then all of a sudden there it is. Surrender to, it's not going to be entirely comfortable. And a lot of people, in particular, regular folks, so maybe not this audience, but regular folks, will absolutely be uncomfortable with it, because it's really a stretch for them. But I feel like we've got this, like this community and people that have been watching videos like this, we've got this. So for us, it won't be nearly as impactful. So the emotional tension, it seems like it'll mostly be coming from the people that haven't been watching videos like this and don't keep up with Beyond Ravens, or don't keep up with Tarot by Janine or Beyond Mystic Bunch. You know what I'm saying, right? So it doesn't seem to want to tell us too much detail here. So we've got the 4. No, we don't get to know exactly, but it does look political. It does look like it's a political event of some kind, or involves various different countries. We've got the 3, and I don't think we'll have too much to wait. Within, I'd say 3, this could be hours or days into that October 1st. So either, hours into October 1st or days into that week, right? So within 3, so that could be hours or days. It's already occurred, whatever this is. So it does seem to be really right on par with that first week of October. So we'll keep our eyes open, keep checking in with that, see if we can, like, sometimes the universe will finally cough up some details. But that's about the size of the details I've been getting for a long time about it, which is not many. Just that, yes, something is coming, and it won't be entirely comfortable. Certainly, if you're a normie, it's not going to be comfortable. The rest of us watching videos like this, we'll get it. Like, we're not going to be very surprised by whatever the event is. And keep in mind, it's already happened. Okay. And somebody was just saying here in the comments that their family is waking up. I've noticed that too. And even I had a cab driver take me quite a ways from the countryside in Ireland to Dublin, Ooh, I got an Irish accent for a second there, to the countryside and from the countryside to Dublin. And it turns out he was absolutely awake. Absolutely awake. And he says lots of people around him are too. And so, you know what? Yeah, I got great hopes for the whole world, but I got great hopes for things really turning around for humanity. In all my heart, I feel that. So I'm going to be saying, sending everybody ravens. Love you guys. Sending you all ravens. And don't forget, tarotbyjanine.com.
Cũng mang đến rồi. Dương Lăng ngây người. Con cáo giả lục chính này quả nhiên là mong mỏi ném sự việc phức tạp này cho người khác, đẩy đi một cách gọn gàng, sạch sẽ đấy chứ. Dương Lăng gật đầu đáp lại. Bổn quan cũng không phải là gỗ tác. Nếu như gỗ tác của An Sát Tì và cầm đi về đều đã kiểm tra rồi, thi thể không cần giữ lại nữa. Thông báo cho tính danh quận vương đến nhận xác về. Ồ, đợi đã. Dương Lăng nghĩ ngợi một lúc rồi nói tiếp. Nghĩa tử là nghĩa tận. Đi, đưa ta đến vai kiến vì bọn Huy cô nương này. Thi thể để trong hành dinh của Tâm Sa đại nhân thì không được tốt cho lắm. Hậu viện lại là nơi của Dương Lăng luyện công, bắn bia, nên vua An Siêu đành để thi thể của đàn nhân ở chỗ của đám lang binh. Bên cạnh phòng có một thi thể người chết và đám lang binh đó lại thản nhiên như không có chuyện gì xảy ra, cứ ra ra vào, cười nói vui vẻ. Mà đến khi nhìn thấy vua An Siêu cùng với Tâm Sa đại nhân đến tới thì cái đám người đó mới trở nên nghiêm túc. Hóa ra bọn họ chỉ là những chiến sĩ dũng mãnh đi theo Dương Lăng một thời gian dài. Đại bộ phận lang binh cũng học được kỷ luật quân đội, vội vàng hành lễ với Dương Lăng, yên lặng đứng qua một bên. Căn phòng để thi thể có hai tên cận binh đứng canh đằng trước. Dương Lăng bước vào thì chỉ nhìn thấy một căn phòng trống trải, chỉ có một chiếc quan tài được đặt ở đó. Phía trước có một chiếc ghế, phía trên là một bát hương. Khói vài nghìn phút lại càng cảm thấy thêm phần thê lương. Dù cho có là vương hậu Tông Anh, đại tử danh nhân, thì lúc trước đi rồi cũng chẳng qua chỉ là một nắm đất mà thôi. Cô thiếu nữ mới chỉ có 16 tuổi, lại là dòng dõi vương tộc yêu kiều như vậy, và lại bị người ta bóp chết một mạng hai người. Vốn dĩ sự việc này không liên quan đến Dương Lăng, nhưng tĩnh tâm suy nghĩ để điều tra cho tốt vụ án này, thì bất giác lúc này đây, Dương Lăng bỗng cảm thấy vô cùng căm hận tên hung thủ mất hết tính người. Hắn bước đi thật chậm và nhẹ nhàng đến trước quan tài, hai tay chắp trước ngực nhẹ nhàng nói: "Chu Mộng Ly cô nương, hiện tại bổn quan đang điều tra vụ án của cô. Nhất định ta sẽ tìm ra hung thủ thực sự để trả thù cho cô. Chu cô nương sống khôn thác thiêng, xin hãy phù hộ cho Dương mỗ thuận lợi tìm được hung thủ để nghiêm trị." Dương Lăng lặng lẽ vái ba cái, mãi tới khi đứng thẳng người dậy thì thấy Ngô An Siêu đã đứng ở phía trước quan tài. Giương tay đẩy nhẹ một cái, nắp quan tài khẽ mở ra, tiếp đó gã kéo chiếc nắp xuống và nói: "Đại nhân, vì là chính là nạn nhân bị hại, Chu cô nương. Đã muốn trở thành quan thanh thiên phá án thì làm gì có chuyện ngay cả đến mặt của nạn nhân bà cũng không nhìn đến, nên dù trong lòng rất e sợ không dám nhìn người chết, nhưng hắn cũng đành phải cố mà bước đến. Mở nắp quan tài ra, bên trong đó có một làn khói trắng bay lên, bất giác cảm thấy có chút sợ hãi. Dương Lăng ngẩng đầu nhìn Ngũ Hán Siêu thì nhận thấy gã ta sắc thái vẫn bình thường điềm tĩnh, lúc đó mới nghĩ rằng ắt phải có nguyên do gì, vậy nên mới mạnh dạn mà bước qua. Dương Lăng nhìn vào bên trong quan tài, thấy là ở trong đó có rất nhiều khối băng, toàn thân Chu cô nương đều đặt kín, ngay đến cả đầu cũng vậy, chẳng trách lại có tiếng trắng bay ra. Chu Bát Trọng, tướng mạo tuấn tú, đúng là một dòng giống tốt. Con cháu của ông ta lại lấy những đại mỹ nhân tướng mạo xuất chúng, vì thế cho nên sinh ra những đứa con xinh đẹp. Có muốn tìm những đứa xấu xí cũng còn khó mà thấy được. Vì con đường đó quả thật tướng mạo vô cùng xinh đẹp, gương mặt trái xoan, chiếc mũi thanh tú, đôi môi mỏng mọng, đôi lông mi dày rậm che khuôn mặt, thần thái an tường. Chắc hẳn Ngô Tác cũng đã trang điểm lại cho thi thể nạn nhân, hoàn toàn không thể nhận ra được thần thái hoảng sợ, tuyệt vọng lúc bị sát hại. Chỉ là khuôn mặt, đôi môi, một màu trắng xóa. Không nhìn thấy bất cứ một tia máu nào. Dương Lăng tiếc than thở dài một cái. Có chút không đành lòng, bà quay mặt đi luôn. Ánh mắt lướt qua gương mặt của vị cô nương này, đột nhiên thấy có cảm giác quen thuộc, dường như đã từng gặp ở đâu đó rồi. Dương Lăng ngây người, rồi lại cẩn trọng nhìn lại một lần nữa vị cô nương đó. Sau đó đột nhiên lùi lại phía sau vài bước, nhìn nghiêng một cái, thật kỹ. Sau đó thét lên một tiếng. À! Ngô Án Siêu dự lấy chiếc quan tài, không hề có chút sợ hãi. Dương Lăng đột nhiên hét lớn một tiếng như vậy khiến cho gã phải giật mình, nhảy lên một cái. Sau đó tay cầm lấy cán kiếm, dương mắt nhìn bốn xung quanh, quan sát tình hình xem có động tĩnh gì chăng. Lúc này mới bối rối hỏi: đại nhân? Ngô Án Siêu dứt cầu thì mới nhìn thấy Dương Lăng đang đứng ngây người ở trong đó, gương mặt trắng bệch như tuyết. Ngô Án Siêu kinh ngạc tột độ, vội vàng bước lên trước đỡ lấy Dương Lăng, vội vàng nói: đại nhân, đại nhân! Dương Lăng miễn cưỡng vẫy vẫy tay, nói loạn: ta không sao, đi thôi. Về thư phòng, lúc đại bụng truy đứng ở ngoài cửa ngó vào bên trong nhìn một cái, hai mắt trừng lên nhìn lão đại. Tên đồ báng này là một người lính thực thụ, trên chiến trận thì không nghe sợ chém giết nhưng lại rất mê tín, không dám đến những nơi có thi thể người chết. Nhất là gã nghe nói khi chết cô nương này mặc một bộ y phục màu đỏ. Nếu như không phải Dương Lăng đang ở đây thì ngay cả đến khu nhà này gã cũng chẳng dám bén mặt đến. Vì lại bỗng truy nghe bà ngoại của gã kể lại rằng âm khí của người phụ nữ rất nặng, âm khí của xác chết đang chờ chôn cất lại càng nặng. Những người khi chết mặc y phục màu đỏ sẽ hóa thành ác quỷ, chưa qua đầu thất thì không được lại gần, e là sẽ trúng tà. Dương Lăng đẩy tay Ngô Án Siêu ra, can giọng nói: phái người thông báo cho quận vương đến nhận thi thể. Quận vương đến rồi thì phái quân binh giúp chuyển quan tài về. Hắn bước ra đến cửa, lại quay đầu lại ngó cố quan tài đó một lần nữa. Lúc này mới đi thẳng về chỗ ở của mình. Trên đường đi, chấm ngực Dương Lăng cứ mãi đập thình thịch, chân mềm run lẩy bẩy. Chu Nhược Hổ, hung thủ chắc chắn là Chu Nhược Hổ. Thật quả đúng là tốn công tìm kiếm mà không thấy, bất ngờ vô ý lại tìm ra. Thật không thể ngờ được rằng Chu Mộng Ly đang nằm trong quan tài kia lại chính là cô nương cao gầy, mặc y phục màu đỏ mà chính bản thân Dương Lăng đã nhìn thấy trong hoa viên của Thục Vương Phủ. Lúc đó Dương Lăng và Dương Thận vừa đi vừa nói chuyện, nhìn thấy dưới đám cây tùm là thế tử Chu Nhược Hổ và người con gái đó. Hai người đó gần như không nhận ra sự có mặt của Dương Lăng và Dương Thận, bằng không thì thế tử vì e ngại mà không biết chừng sẽ không ra tay sát hại Mộng Ly cô nương. Quý vị và các bạn thân mến, chúng ta vừa theo dõi hết tập 139 của Ngược Về Thời Minh. Hẹn gặp lại quý vị và các bạn trong tập 140. Chào mừng quý vị và các bạn đã quay trở lại với Kiếm Hiệp Thấm. Ngày hôm nay chúng ta sẽ tiếp tục theo dõi những diễn biến đang rất gay cấn và hấp dẫn của truyện xuyên không Ngược Về Thời Minh với tập 140. Trước khi vào cùng nghe chuyện thì rất mong quý vị và các bạn bớt chút thời gian để vẫn như mọi lần nhấn nút đăng ký kênh Kiếm Hiệp Thấm, cũng như là để lại một like, một comment cảm xúc của mình sau khi nghe hết tập truyện. Quý vị và các bạn cũng có thể donate ủng hộ kênh động viên Đình Duy theo số tài khoản được ghi ở phần mô tả. Cảm ơn sự ủng hộ của quý vị và các bạn rất nhiều. Ngay sau đây là tập 140 ngược về thời Minh. Lúc Đại Bồng Trì mang chén trà đặt lên mặt bàn, nhìn thấy Dương Lăng sắc mặt lúc tái nhợt, lúc lại đỏ ửng, hai mắt đờ đẫn, bất giác cảm thấy lo sợ vô cùng. Gã vội vàng chạy ra cửa tìm Ngũ Hán Siêu và nói: Ngô đại nhân, ngài xem chúng ta có nên đi tìm một đại tiên về đây để giải tà cho đại nhân chăng? Ngô Hán Siêu nghe xong những câu nói không đầu không